Janet Yellen, who, and this is the recession stuff, in anticipation of the Bureau of Economic Analysis, which is going later this week, is going to publish whether GDP grew and by how much, or contracted and by how much later this week. Janet Yellen is trying to get ahead of the curve by telling people that even if the GDP contracts for 2 quarters in a row, because it did contract last quarter, 1.5% is how much it contracted in the first quarter. Even if we see a contraction in the second quarter, it's not actually a recession, she says.
Let me just start with this. Many businesses seem to be preparing for a recession. Should all Americans at home be preparing for for a recession that many people think now is likely?
Well, look, the economy is slowing down. Last year, it grew very rapidly at about 5.5%, and that succeeded in putting people back to work who had lost their jobs during the pandemic. The labor market is now extremely strong. Even just during the last 3 months, net job gains averaged 375,000. This is not an economy that's in recession, but we're in a period of transition in which growth is slowing, and that's necessary and appropriate, and we need to be growing at a steady and sustainable pace. So there is a slowdown, and businesses can see that, and that's appropriate given that people now have jobs and we have a strong labor market.
Wait a second. A period of transition. We are in a period of transition, she says, not a recession, a period of transition. What the heck does that even mean? What are we transitioning to? A period of transition to what? This is maybe one of the scariest parts of the left trying to redefine the word recession, because I don't think, well, certainly people like Janet Yellen are not feeling the effects of the inflation and the impending recession the way that you and I are, because these elitists that implement policies that hurt us are always insulated from the negative repercussions. They're always insulated from the pain. That's one of the hallmarks of socialism, right? That the elitists always escape the pain and the suffering and the oppression and the starvation and the death that they impose on other people. Janet Yellen and the Biden administration certainly aren't feeling this, but a period of transition to what is the question that we should ask, because the answer to that will cause us even more pain. A period of transition to what? The Biden administration has given us clues. You can listen to any clip, anything that's come out of Pete Buttigieg's mouth in the last 2 weeks gives you a very accurate idea of what the Biden administration wants, what this phrase means. A period of transition to what? They want a green economy. Now, a green economy sounds neutral. It sounds, okay, let's be environmentally friendly. Let's be good stewards of the environment. If that were the case, not a person among us would disagree with that, least of all conservatives. Christians, in fact, believe that God calls us to be good stewards of the environment. I believe that. You probably believe that. Conservatives in general believe that. That is not what the Biden administration means by a green economy. This is another instance where they are redefining a term that actually means something else. But they want it to mean what they want it to mean. And a green economy in the eyes of the left means an economy that doesn't rely on fossil fuels. It doesn't have gasoline powered vehicles, that people don't fly airplanes, that people maybe don't eat red meat, they eat fake meat. You remember that from AOC's Green New Deal, right? She wanted to tax cow flatulence or something. Just absurd, even by AOC standards here. So a period of transition to what? What they mean is they want us to be completely off, completely disconnected, completely unreliant on fossil fuels. And that in and of itself doesn't properly explain what it would be a transition to. It would basically be taking us back to pre-industrial revolution times where we would be reliant on coal, we would be reliant on wind and solar, which are very unreliable. We wouldn't have the petrochemicals that come from fossil fuels that are necessary for textiles, like the clothes I'm wearing, made from petrochemicals. The makeup I'm wearing, made from petrochemicals. More importantly, the food that I ate right before I came on air, that was probably grown, because it wasn't fully organic, was probably grown using fertilizer and pesticide and weed killer that is from petrochemicals. And maybe I have a qualm with that because I try to eat organic, but like in the bigger picture around the globe, We need these petrochemicals in fertilizers and in weed killers and in pesticides so that places that have climates that can't grow crops well, or that have bugs and insects that ruin the crops, are actually able to grow food so that they don't starve. It's great. I'm privileged to be able to eat healthy, but it's more important to eat than to be able to be picky about eating healthy. Medicines, every medication you take relies on fossil fuel. It's made from petrochemicals. If you have surgery, the instruments and the sterilization, everything made from petrochemicals and fossil fuels. If you completely remove fossil fuels from our economy, people will die. People will regress. We'll be thrown back into the pre-industrial revolution. That's what green economy means. But the Biden administration wants to redefine that. They don't want us to understand what they mean. So they use these vague phrases. It's a period of transition. It's not a recession. But ask, a period of transition to what? And what do you mean by a green economy?